The sun had barely risen over the dense jungle of Zorath when Kiro, the smallest of the predator cubs, peeked through the thick foliage. His golden eyes sparkled with curiosity as he spotted something strange lying between the roots of a massive blue-leafed tree. Juna, his older sister, and Ral, the quietest of the trio, approached silently, their sharp claws barely leaving marks in the soft ground. It was a human object, broken and half-buried but glowing faintly. Kiro stepped closer, his heart pounding with excitement. "What is this?" he whispered, his voice trembling with awe. Ral crouched beside him, inspecting the device. "I do not know," he said softly. "But it is not ours. It is human." Juna's ears twitched. "Humans?" she asked, though the word carried a mix of respect and doubt. "They are small, weak, and slow. Why would we care about them?" Kiro ignored her words. He reached out with a cautious hand and the device suddenly flickered to life. Holographic images floated in the air, casting bright light on the cubs' faces. They saw tiny humans running across a field, dodging, weaving, and striking in synchronized patterns. The cubs tilted their heads, fascinated by the movements. "They fight with their minds," Kiro murmured, his voice full of wonder. "Not just strength." Ral's eyes narrowed. "It is clever," he admitted, though reluctantly. "They have no sharp claws or strong muscles like us. Yet, look at their coordination. They are precise." Juna crossed her arms. "It is a trick," she said, trying to sound brave. "Our elders say strength wins every time. We do not need to waste time on games humans play." But Kiro could not look away. The hologram showed humans creating traps, setting fake retreats, and using teamwork to surround opponents. The cubs gasped in amazement as they watched one group outsmart a larger enemy by faking weakness. "Can we try this?" Kiro asked, barely able to contain his excitement. Ral hesitated. "It seems foolish," he said, "but maybe we could learn something. Just to see." Juna shook her head, but curiosity sparkled in her eyes. "All right," she said finally. "But we do it quietly. The elders must not know." That night the cubs gathered in a hidden cave beneath the roots of a colossal tree. The cave was dark and damp, but it was perfect for training. Kiro activated the hologram again, projecting the human war games onto the walls. The cubs watched every move, memorizing the tactics and discussing how to adapt them to their own strengths. "Humans are small but clever," Kiro said, pacing. "We are strong, fast, and silent. If we combine their tricks with our skills, we can become unstoppable." Ral frowned. "It sounds too easy to fail, but it is worth trying." "We will practice, yes, but carefully." Juna nodded. "We need stealth, timing, and traps. And teamwork. Let us begin." For the next few days, the cubs trained secretly. They practiced ambushes on each other, learning how to predict movements and control their speed. Kiro devised silent pouncing exercises while Juna perfected flanking techniques. Ral experimented with simple traps using vines and stones, inspired by the human tactics he had observed. The cubs laughed and cheered when one successfully outsmarted the others, feeling a thrill they had never known before. Every small victory built their confidence, and soon their moves became faster, sharper, and more coordinated. One morning, while practicing near a waterfall, Kiro paused. "We are ready," he said, his voice firm. "We can try these tricks in a real challenge. Just once, to see if it works against the adults." Ral's ears twitched nervously. "It is dangerous. The adults are strong, experienced, and ruthless. They will not hold back," Juna grinned. "Then we need to be clever. The humans survive because they think ahead. We must think ahead too." The next night, the cubs practiced under the pale glow of the twin moons. Their movements became almost perfect. Kiro's pounces were silent shadows. Juna's flanks were fast and unpredictable. Ral's traps were hidden and effective. The cubs felt a strange mix of pride and fear, pride in their skills and fear of being discovered by their elders. Meanwhile, the adults remained unaware. Elder predators patrolled the jungle, confident in their superiority. They laughed at the cubs when they occasionally stumbled during hunts, believing they were still too young to matter. One day, the cubs stumbled upon a group of human artifacts buried deeper in the jungle. Broken helmets, old hologram devices, and strange maps covered in alien writing. Kiro examined them carefully, tracing lines and patterns with his claws. "These humans are brilliant," he said. "Even when defeated, they leave clues for learning. We must study everything." Juna picked up a map. "This could help us plan ambushes," she said, eyes wide. "We can use the terrain against them like the humans do." Ral studied a hologram projector, and this can teach us timing. Their drills show patience and waiting for the perfect moment. We must learn patience. The cubs spent days exploring, practicing, and observing. They became faster, quieter, and smarter than ever before. They began imagining a challenge not against humans, but against their own kind. Could they use these human tactics to outsmart the adults? The thought both thrilled and terrified them. One evening, Kiro climbed a high tree and looked down at the elders hunting in the distance. "We are ready," he whispered. "Tomorrow we will see if we can truly test ourselves." Juna leaned beside him. "Do you think it will work?" she asked softly. Kiro smiled, his sharp teeth catching the moonlight. "It will. Humans are small, yes, but their mind is strong, and we have their mind now plus our strength. The adults will not know what hit them." Ral nodded silently, his eyes gleaming with determination. "Then tomorrow, we prove ourselves." That night the cubs barely slept. Their minds raced with strategies, traps, and ambushes. Every move was planned in detail. They whispered to each other in excitement, imagining the look on the adults' faces when their carefully laid plans succeeded. The jungle seemed quieter than usual, as if sensing the cubs' anticipation. The leaves rustled softly in the wind, and distant calls of elder predators echoed through the trees. But the cubs paid no attention. Their focus was sharp, their minds clear. Tomorrow would be the day they tested human war games against the strongest predators in the jungle. As dawn approached, the first golden rays of the sun touched the jungle canopy. Kiro, Juna, and Ral gathered at the edge of the training ground, silent and ready. The hologram of human war games flickered once more in Kiro's mind. He remembered the precision, the teamwork, and the clever traps. "Tomorrow," Kiro said quietly, "we show them that strength alone is not enough. The mind can win battles." Juna and Ral nodded in agreement. Their hearts raced with excitement, but they were calm on the outside. They had trained, learned, and prepared. Tomorrow everything would change. Little did the elders know the cubs had learned something powerful. The secret of the humans, the secret that had allowed small beings to survive against bigger, stronger enemies, was now in the hands of 3 young predators. And soon, the jungle would witness something no one could have imagined. The sun rose higher, casting long shadows across the jungle floor. The cubs hid in the foliage, their eyes bright with determination. Kiro whispered one last time, "We are ready." And with that, part 1 of the story ends, setting the stage for the cubs' daring test against the adults, a test that could change the jungle forever. The morning sun cast warm streaks across the jungle, making the leaves shimmer like gold. Kiro, Juna, and Ral crept quietly through the underbrush, their muscles tense with excitement. Today they would test the first phase of their secret training. The adults were nearby, patrolling the jungle, unaware of what the cubs had learned from the human war games. Kiro paused and pointed toward a clearing. "We will start small," he whispered. "Just a few traps, a minor ambush." "We cannot risk being discovered yet," Juna nodded. "We need to practice timing. Human battles are won not by strength, but by knowing when to strike." Ral laid out vines and stones in clever patterns, creating simple yet effective traps. They were designed to slow down anyone who stepped into them, giving the cubs a chance to test their coordination. The cubs moved silently, hiding behind trees and large rocks, their eyes fixed on the clearing. After several minutes of preparation, Kiro gave the signal. "Now," he whispered. The cubs sprang from their hiding places, executing the maneuvers they had practiced countless times. Juna flanked the clearing from the left, Ral took the right, and Kiro leapt forward from the center. A trap snapped, ensnaring a fallen branch that toppled and blocked a path. The cubs communicated with subtle gestures, just like the humans in the holograms. Their movements were synchronized, precise, and swift. When the mock enemy failed to move as expected, the cubs laughed quietly. Even though no real adults were present, this trial gave them confidence. "We are getting better," Kiro said, panting slightly. "Each time we are faster and smarter." Juna wiped sweat from her brow. "Patience and timing are everything. Look how smoothly our traps work together." The humans knew this. "And now so do we." Ral adjusted a vine. "Next, we practice patience. The humans wait for the perfect moment to strike. We must do the same." That afternoon, the cubs continued their exercises. They moved silently through the dense jungle, avoiding even the smallest noises. Kiro set up a decoy, an empty log placed as if it were a hiding predator, while Juna prepared to ambush an imaginary enemy. Ral carefully monitored their positions, ensuring no detail was overlooked. As the sun sank lower, painting the sky in fiery oranges and reds, the cubs completed their final trial of the day. They had moved through the jungle as if they were shadows, unseen and unheard. Each trap, each maneuver, and each feint had been executed perfectly. "We are ready," Kiro said quietly, his eyes gleaming. "The adults will not know what hit them." But just as they celebrated, a rustling in the bushes startled them. Kiro froze, ears twitching. From behind a thick cluster of ferns, Elder Tov appeared. He was one of the strongest hunters in their clan, with sharp eyes and broad shoulders. "What are you doing here, cubs?" Tov demanded, his voice low but commanding. "Why are you sneaking through the jungle like thieves?" The cubs froze. Ral stepped forward, trying to appear calm. We are practicing, Elder Tov," he said. "Just simple hunting exercises." Tov's eyes narrowed. "Hunting exercises? At this hour? Without permission?" He scanned the traps and the cleared areas, suspicion growing in his expression. "You are too young for this. Leave immediately." Kiro swallowed, trying to hide his fear. "Yes, Elder, we were only learning. For when we grow stronger," Tov snorted. "Learning does not require sneaking, cub. Strength comes from the hunt, not from tricks and games." He turned and walked away, but the cubs could see a flicker of doubt in his eyes. He had witnessed their precision. Once Tov disappeared, Kiro whispered, "We were lucky." But he saw our skills. "We must be even smarter next time." Juna nodded. "We cannot stop now. The humans' methods work. We have to continue, even if the elders suspect something." The next day, the cubs moved deeper into the jungle to practice with higher stakes. They chose a rocky ravine where the adults often trained. Kiro studied the terrain carefully. "This is perfect. We can set multiple traps and ambush points. It will teach us coordination and timing." The cubs worked tirelessly, climbing rocks, weaving vines, and marking paths in their minds. They learned to use natural cover like shadows and rocks to conceal their positions. Every obstacle became a tool, and every path was a strategy. That evening, they ran their first full-scale mock battle. Kiro signaled the start, and the cubs executed human-inspired tactics flawlessly. Juna flanked the imaginary enemy, Ral triggered traps, and Kiro struck from the center. They moved as one, thinking ahead, predicting moves, and reacting instantly. By the end of the exercise, the cubs were exhausted but exhilarated. "We are improving every day," Kiro said, a smile spreading across his face. "The humans' lessons are stronger than we imagined," Ral nodded. "Yes, but we must remember patience. Even the smallest mistake can ruin everything. The elders are experienced hunters. They will notice any error." Juna glanced at the horizon. "Then we prepare for tomorrow. Tomorrow we test what we've learned on something bigger." Over the next several days, the cubs continued to train in secret. They created more complex traps, practiced coordinated attacks, and learned to communicate silently. They even started using simple signals with their tails and claws, mimicking the subtle gestures humans used in their holographic war games. One night, Kiro had an idea. "We have been practicing on empty clearings and rocks," he said. "We need a challenge that is more real. We need to test against smaller adults first, those who are not as strong as the elders but still experienced." Juna and Ral agreed. "We will observe first," Juna said. "We learn as humans do. Watch, plan, and then act. No mistakes." The cubs positioned themselves near the training ground of younger adult predators. They watched from the shadows, noting every movement, every strategy the adults used. They studied weaknesses, timing, and reactions just as they had studied the human holograms. The moment came to strike. The cubs used the knowledge they had gained to set traps and feints. They coordinated their attacks, striking from unexpected directions, forcing the younger adults to react in ways they had not anticipated. The result was astonishing. The cubs successfully outmaneuvered the adults at every turn. The young adults were confused and frustrated. "How is this possible?" one whispered to another. "They are just cubs." Kiro, Juna, and Ral hid their excitement. They remained unseen, silent, and precise. Their confidence grew with each successful move. By the time the exercise ended, the younger adults were exhausted and the cubs were unscathed. Back in their cave, the cubs celebrated quietly. "This is only the beginning," Kiro said. "Tomorrow we test against the elders. The humans' tricks are powerful, but we must combine them with our strength and cunning. Juna nodded. We must remember patience and timing. Strike too early and we fail. Strike too late and we fail. But strike at the perfect moment. And we will win, Ral smiled. Then we train tonight. We refine every move, every trap, and every signal. The elders will not know what hit them. As the moons rose over the jungle, the cubs practiced relentlessly. Each move was sharper, each attack more coordinated, and each trap more effective. They had learned that strength alone was not enough. Cleverness, planning, and teamwork were equally important. The jungle itself seemed to hum with anticipation. Creatures of all sizes stirred in the night, unaware that 3 young cubs were preparing to change the rules of hunting forever. Cairo paused and looked at his friends. Tomorrow, he said softly, we show them that the mind can outsmart strength. The adults will see that even the young can surpass the old when guided by intelligence and strategy. Juna and Ral nodded in agreement, their eyes bright with determination. They had come a long way from curious cubs watching a human hologram. Now they were ready to test everything they had learned against the adults, and so, Part 2 ends with the cubs fully trained, confident, and prepared for the ultimate challenge. The day they would confront the elders with the cleverness of humans combined with the power of predators. The next morning, the jungle seemed unusually quiet. Sunlight filtered through the thick canopy, casting dappled shadows on the forest floor. Kiro, Juna, and Ral crouched among the ferns, eyes scanning the area. Today was the day they would confront the elders, not in anger but in a test of skill. Cairo whispered, remember everything. Timing traps teamwork. The humans survive because they think ahead. We must do the same, Juna nodded. We are stronger than we were yesterday. And smarter. We can do this. Ral tightened his grip on a thick vine which he had prepared as a trap. The elders may not take us seriously at first, but we will show them the difference between brute force and strategy. From a distance, Elder Tov and 2 other adult hunters, strong and confident, approached. They were patrolling the area expecting a normal day. They had noticed the cubs sneaking around earlier but assumed they were still inexperienced. Kiro crouched lower. Now, he whispered. The cubs moved silently into their pre-planned positions. Juna took the left flank, hidden behind a large rock formation. Ral climbed into a low tree to trigger a simple but effective falling branch trap. Kiro positioned himself in the center, ready to strike and coordinate the others. The elders stepped into the clearing, scanning the area for threats. Tov smirked. So the cubs are here, he said. Are you ready to embarrass yourselves? Kiro's voice was calm but firm. We are ready, Elder, but perhaps today you will learn something new. The elders laughed, dismissing the threat. They did not notice Ral's trap. A vine stretched between 2 trees just above their path. As the adults walked into the clearing, the vine snapped tight, pulling a small branch down and startling them. Tov stumbled but recovered quickly, glancing around with narrowed eyes. What was that? He growled, his senses alert. Cubs, are you hiding? Kiro gave a subtle hand signal. Juna sprang from her hiding place, moving silently along the left side. Ral dropped from the tree, landing behind the elders. The cubs moved in perfect coordination, circling and confusing the adults. The elders attacked with brute force, expecting an easy victory. But the cubs had planned for every movement. They dodged, feinted, and used the traps to their advantage. Kiro leapt over a fallen log, drawing Tov's attention while Juna closed in from the side. Ral triggered another branch trap, forcing one of the adults to stumble. The elders were surprised. How? One of them muttered. These are just cubs. Kiro moved quickly, signaling his siblings. Now push them toward the ravine. The cubs coordinated perfectly. They used feints and ambushes to force the adults into a narrow area where their movements were restricted. Juna leapt from behind a tree, striking softly but accurately to distract. Ral triggered a vine trap that caused another adult to lose balance. Kiro used his momentum to move the third adult in the direction of the prepared ravine. The adults were strong, but the cubs were smarter. Each time the elders tried to counterattack, the cubs anticipated their moves. The humans' tactics they had learned guided every decision. The elders realized that strength alone was no longer enough. Tov growled, frustration evident. Clever cubs, but you cannot outfight adults forever. Kiro's eyes gleamed. We do not need to outfight you, Elder. We only need to outthink you. The battle continued through the dense jungle. The cubs used every advantage, shadows, rocks, hidden vines, and careful timing. They split the adults' attention, forcing them to move in directions the cubs had planned. Every trap and feint worked perfectly. The elders tried to coordinate, but they had not expected such precision from young cubs. After several minutes, the elders were exhausted and confused. Kiro, Juna, and Ral moved together, pressing their advantage. The final trap, carefully placed along a narrow path, blocked the elders' way. A large branch fell, creating a temporary barrier. The cubs took a moment to catch their breath, eyes bright with triumph. The elders stopped, panting heavily. Tav's expression had changed from arrogance to astonishment. This is impossible, he said, staring at the cubs. You used tactics. You thought ahead. You coordinated. Kiro stepped forward, calm and composed. Yes, Elder. Strength alone does not win battles. Intelligence, planning, and teamwork are just as important. Today we learned from humans and we applied their lessons. Tomorrow we can teach them to others. The elders exchanged glances, their pride wounded but curiosity sparked. None of them had expected such ingenuity from young cubs. Tav's gaze softened slightly. Perhaps there is more to learn than raw strength. Perhaps the cubs are wiser than we gave them credit for. Juna bowed her head slightly, respectful but confident. We only wish to improve ourselves, Elder, and to show that we can combine strength with intelligence. Ral added, the humans survive because they use their minds. We have learned from them, and now we can use that knowledge to survive and grow stronger together. For a moment, silence filled the jungle. The adults were too stunned to respond. They had underestimated the cubs, and the lesson had been delivered without cruelty, only skill and strategy. Tav finally broke the silence. Very well, he said slowly. You have shown cleverness and restraint. Perhaps there is merit in learning from others. Humans may be small, but their minds are sharp. You have proven that intelligence can rival strength. Kiro nodded, a sense of pride swelling in his chest. We only seek to grow stronger and wiser, Elder. Strength and intelligence together make us better hunters, better protectors, and better warriors. The elders studied the cubs closely. For the first time, they saw their potential, not just as young predators, but as clever strategists capable of innovation. The lesson of the humans, combined with the natural abilities of the cubs, had created something extraordinary. The cubs demonstrated more tricks that day, showing their clever traps, coordinated attacks, and strategic thinking. The elders observed quietly, realizing that the cubs were teaching them an important lesson. Survival depended not only on raw power, but also on foresight, planning, and unity. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the jungle floor, Kiro, Juna, and Ral gathered together. Their hearts raced with excitement, but they remained humble. They had achieved something remarkable, but they knew this was only the beginning. We did it, Kiro whispered. We have shown them what we learned. But tomorrow, we can show even more. We can show that even young ones guided by intelligence can surpass the old when prepared. Juna smiled. Yes, but we must continue training. The elders may respect us now, but we cannot stop. There is always more to learn. Ral nodded silently, his eyes gleaming with determination. Tomorrow we will continue, and our skills will grow even stronger. The humans taught us the ways of strategy. We must make it our own. That night, the cubs returned to their hidden cave. They reviewed every move of the day, analyzing what worked and what could be improved. Each trap, each feint, and each maneuver was discussed and perfected. They understood that intelligence alone was not enough. They had to combine it with strength, agility, and timing. The jungle seemed quieter that night, as if it too was learning from the cubs. Small creatures moved cautiously, sensing the growing skills and confidence of the young predators. Even the wind through the trees seemed to carry whispers of the cubs' cleverness. Kiro looked at his siblings and said softly, "The adults will not underestimate us again. And soon we will show that youth, intelligence, and courage can surpass experience when used wisely." Juna nodded. "We are ready. The next challenge will be bigger, and we will face it together. Strength and intelligence, this is our path," Ral added, "and we will continue learning, growing, and improving. The humans showed us one way. Now we will show another, a way that combines their cleverness with our natural power." As the moons rose high in the sky, casting silver light across the jungle, the cubs rested, their minds sharp and ready. The first confrontation had been a success, but the real test was yet to come. The elders had seen their skills, but the cubs had only begun to explore the full potential of combining human strategy with predator strength. Tomorrow, the real challenge awaited, and the jungle would never be the same again. The morning mist clung to the jungle like a soft blanket, and Kiro, Juna, and Ral moved through the dense undergrowth with silent determination. Today was no ordinary day. Today they would challenge the elders fully, testing everything they had learned from the humans and their own practice. Kiro paused atop a fallen tree, scanning the clearing ahead. We know the terrain, we know their habits, and we know each other. Now it is time to combine all we've learned. Juna adjusted her stance. Every move counts. One mistake and the elders will overpower us. But if we are clever, they will not see it coming. Ral silently checked the traps one last time. The cubs had prepared the jungle with precision. Vines stretched across narrow paths, hidden pits covered by leaves, and loose branches positioned for distraction. Every detail was planned to maximize their advantage. From the distance, the elders appeared, led by Elder Tov. They were confident, yet their expressions carried a hint of caution. The cubs' cleverness in the previous encounter had not gone unnoticed. Tov's voice echoed through the clearing. So the cubs dare to challenge us fully. Let us see if cleverness alone can survive strength. Cairo stepped forward. Elder, we do not seek to fight unfairly. We only wish to demonstrate what we have learned. Strength alone does not win battles. Strategy, patience, and teamwork are just as important. Tov smirked. We shall see. The first movement was subtle. Juna slipped through the shadows along the left flank unseen. Ral waited in the trees above to release a trap at the perfect moment. Kiro moved to the center, keeping the elders' attention focused on him. The adults charged forward, expecting a straightforward confrontation. But the cubs had anticipated every move. Juna circled behind them, forcing Elder Lorne into a pit trap cleverly disguised with leaves. Lorne stumbled and fell, momentarily caught, giving Ral the chance to trigger a branch trap that blocked Elder Fenn's path. The elders were startled. How? Fenn growled, swinging his arms to clear the branches. Cubs, how are you moving so coordinated? Kiro smirked silently. The cubs' movements were flawless. Each strike, feint, and trap was timed perfectly. They had studied the elders' habits and used them against them, just as humans anticipated their enemies' actions. The battle escalated through the jungle. The cubs used hit-and-run tactics, drawing the elders into narrow passages where traps could be triggered. Every time the adults thought they had an advantage, the cubs shifted positions, disappearing into shadows, using signals to communicate silently. Tov's brow furrowed. They are young, but they fight with intelligence. This is not possible. We cannot rely on brute force alone. Kiro watched carefully, waiting for the perfect moment. He signaled his siblings. Now, push them toward the clearing we prepared yesterday. The traps are ready. Juna and Ral responded instantly. They guided the elders along a winding path, subtly forcing them into areas where traps and obstacles were set. Each step the adults took was anticipated and countered by the cubs' clever planning. As the adults neared the clearing, Kiro leapt forward to create a distraction. The elders' attention focused on him, leaving Juna and Ral free to trigger the final sequence of traps. A large branch fell, narrowly missing Tov but blocking his escape path. A hidden pit opened beneath Fenn, and a net trap ensnared Lorne. The elders struggled, realizing for the first time that the cubs had outsmarted them completely. Impossible, Tov growled. They are just cubs. Kiro stepped forward, calm and confident. We are small, Elder, yes, but we have learned the lessons of humans. Strength alone does not win battles. Intelligence, planning, and teamwork are equally important. Tov's eyes widened as he observed the effectiveness of the cubs' tactics. You have combined skill, intelligence, and instinct. This is remarkable. Juna approached carefully, her movement silent. We only wish to show that young ones can grow stronger, Elder. We are ready to learn more and become better hunters. We do not challenge you to harm, but to prove that knowledge can equal power. Ral stepped beside her, nodding. The humans survived because they thought ahead. We have learned from them. Today we use their lessons. Tomorrow we will grow even wiser. For a moment, silence fell over the clearing. The adults were exhausted, caught off guard, and impressed. They had underestimated the cubs' abilities, and now they faced the reality that strength alone was no longer enough. Tov finally spoke, his voice calm but heavy with respect. You have shown wisdom beyond your years. Perhaps we were wrong to underestimate you. The jungle is changing and perhaps we must change with it. The cubs smiled quietly, their confidence growing. They had proven themselves not just through raw power, but by combining human-inspired strategy with predator instincts. The battle did not end in humiliation for the elders. They tested the cubs further, moving cautiously and trying to regain control. But the cubs had learned patience and timing. Each ambush was executed with precision, and each feint forced the adults to react exactly as planned. By mid-afternoon, the elders were exhausted. They had learned an important lesson. The younger generation, guided by intelligence and teamwork, could challenge even the strongest predators. Kiro, Juna, and Ral stood together, unscathed, their eyes gleaming with pride and determination. Tav approached Kiro, lowering his head slightly in a gesture of respect. "You have shown us something remarkable. Strength and intelligence together create power. We have learned that even the young can surpass the old when guided by curiosity and strategy." Kiro bowed his head slightly. "We only seek to grow stronger and wiser, Elder. The humans taught us the value of thinking ahead. We wish to combine that with our natural strength to protect our clan and become better hunters." Juna and Ral stepped forward, echoing their brother's words. "We are ready to continue learning, Elder. We do not seek conflict, only understanding and improvement." The elders exchanged glances, their pride tempered by newfound respect. They had witnessed the impossible. 3 young cubs, small and inexperienced, using intelligence, strategy, and teamwork to overcome adults far stronger than themselves. The jungle seemed to hum with energy, as if recognizing the change. Even the wind through the trees carried a sense of anticipation. The cubs had not only won a battle but had begun a transformation in the jungle, a lesson that strength alone was not enough, and that cleverness and cooperation could equal, and even surpass, raw power. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting shadows across the clearing, Kiro, Juna, and Ral gathered together. Their hearts raced with excitement, but they remained humble. They had achieved something extraordinary, yet they knew the ultimate challenge still awaited. The day when their training, strategy, and courage would be tested beyond imagination. Kiro looked at his siblings. "Tomorrow we will show them the full extent of what we have learned. Not only intelligence and strategy, but unity and courage. The elders will see that even the smallest can achieve greatness when guided by knowledge and determination." Juna smiled, her tail flicking in excitement. "We are ready. Every trap, every feint, every signal has been perfected. The adults will not know what hit them." Ral nodded silently, eyes gleaming. "And we will continue to grow. The humans taught us one way. Now we will show another, a way that combines cleverness with strength and instinct." As darkness settled over the jungle, the cubs returned to their hidden cave. They reviewed every move, every trap, and every strategy from the day. They discussed improvements, refined their coordination, and prepared for the ultimate test. The elders, meanwhile, regrouped in the clearing, speaking in low tones. Tav's voice carried a rare note of humility. "We must observe the cubs carefully. They are no longer ordinary. They have learned from humans, and their minds are as sharp as their claws." Fen and Lorne nodded, realizing that the next day would demand all their skill and attention. The cubs had shown them a new way of thinking, one that could change the balance of power in the jungle forever. Kiro, Juna, and Ral lay in the cave that night, eyes bright with anticipation. They had proven themselves against the adults, but tomorrow the final lesson awaited. It would not be easy, but they were ready. Every human trick, every predator instinct, and every ounce of courage would be needed to succeed. The jungle slept around them, unaware of the young cubs preparing to make history. And when the sun rose again, the elders would face a challenge they had never imagined, a challenge that would teach them that even the smallest, guided by knowledge and teamwork, could achieve greatness. The jungle awoke with a golden glow, mist curling between the towering trees. Today was the day of the final challenge. Kiro, Juna, and Ral crouched in the undergrowth, eyes sharp, hearts steady. Every moment of their secret training, every lesson from the human holograms, every trap and feint was about to be tested against the full might of the elders. Kiro whispered, "Remember patience and teamwork. Strength alone cannot win this battle. Strategy and timing will guide us." Juna nodded, tail flicking nervously. "Every step, every signal, every move counts. One mistake could cost us." Ral checked the traps for the last time. Vines were taut and hidden, branches balanced above, pits carefully covered. Everything is ready. The adults will never see it coming. From the distance, Elder Tov, Fen, and Lorne emerged, moving with caution. They were alert, fully aware of the cubs' cleverness from yesterday, but confidence still ran through their veins. "We will not underestimate them again," Tov said, his deep voice firm. The cubs watched quietly, waiting for the perfect moment. Kiro's mind raced through every plan, every trick they had prepared. "Now," he whispered. Juna and Ral moved into position, disappearing into the shadows. Kiro stepped forward slightly, drawing the elders' attention like a lure. The adults advanced cautiously, analyzing the terrain, aware that the cubs could strike at any moment. The first trap was triggered when Fen stepped on a hidden vine, causing a small branch to fall and block part of his path. He jumped back, startled. "They are ready for us," he growled. Kiro gave a subtle signal. Juna leapt from the left, striking with precision to distract Lorne, while Ral dropped a small net trap from above to ensnare Tov's foot. The elders reacted quickly, but every move had been anticipated by the cubs. Kiro darted forward, dodging strikes, and led the elders toward a narrow passage filled with hidden obstacles. "Patience," he whispered under his breath. "Wait for the moment." The cubs split, flanking from multiple directions. Juna's movements were swift and silent, while Ral triggered a branch trap that forced Fen into a small pit. Kiro kept Tov focused on the center, feinting a retreat, drawing him toward the final trap. The elders were frustrated. "Clever cubs," Tov growled. "But we are stronger." Kiro smirked silently. Strength is nothing without strategy. The final trap had been carefully prepared in a clearing. Large branches, vines, and hidden pits formed a maze of obstacles. As the elders followed the cubs' feints, they were guided into the clearing, where every step was predicted and every path led to a trap. Juna triggered the first obstacle, a falling branch that blocked Tov's advance. Ral released a net that captured Lorne's legs. Fen stumbled into a pit hidden beneath leaves. Kiro leapt to the center, signaling his siblings to converge. The elders struggled, realizing that their strength could not overcome the cubs' clever planning. Every attempt to escape or counterattack was anticipated. The cubs moved as one, silent, precise, and unstoppable. Tov's eyes widened in astonishment. "Impossible." "These are just cubs." Kiro approached cautiously, eyes sharp. "We are small, Elder, but we have learned lessons beyond strength. Humans survive by thinking ahead, by using strategy and teamwork. We have learned from them and combined it with our instincts." Juna and Ral stepped forward, flanking him. "We do not wish to harm, only to prove that intelligence can match power. Today we demonstrate that even the young can surpass the old when guided by thought and unity." The elders paused, breathing heavily. For the first time they realized that brute strength alone was not enough. The cubs had outsmarted them, outmaneuvered them, and used their own instincts against them, all without causing injury. Tov slowly lowered his head. "You have shown something remarkable. Strength and intelligence together create power. We underestimated you, and the lesson is ours to learn." Fen and Lorne nodded in agreement, exhaustion and respect clear in their eyes. "We see it now," Fen admitted. "The cubs have taught us that cunning, planning, and teamwork can rival even the strongest hunters." Kiro, Juna, and Ral exchanged satisfied glances. Their efforts had paid off. They had proven that knowledge and strategy could surpass raw power, and that even the youngest members of the clan could achieve greatness when prepared and united. The cubs demonstrated their traps and maneuvers to the elders, showing each step and the clever timing involved. The adults observed closely, learning from their young students. It was a day of revelation, a moment where the old and the young came together to understand a deeper truth. Survival and success depended on both strength and intelligence. By the afternoon, the elders had recovered enough to speak. Tov addressed the cubs with a tone of respect and admiration. "You have achieved what no one expected. Your courage, intelligence, and unity have changed the way we see the world. You have proven that even the young can lead the old when guided by wisdom." Juna bowed slightly, her expression humble. "We only wish to grow stronger and wiser, Elder. To protect our clan, to learn, and to improve. Today we have shown that even small ones can have great minds." Ral added quietly, "We will continue to learn, Elder. From humans, from the jungle, and from our own instincts. Strength alone is not enough. Together we are unstoppable. Tov's eyes shone with pride. You have earned respect not just for your cleverness but for your restraint. You could have injured us, yet you chose to demonstrate skill and strategy. That is the mark of true hunters. Kiro, Juna, and Ral felt a deep sense of accomplishment. They had not only outsmarted the elders, but had earned their respect and changed the way the adults would view the young forever. Their training, inspired by the humans' war games, had proved powerful when combined with their natural predator instincts. The elders gathered together and discussed what they had learned. We must teach the clan that intelligence is as valuable as strength, Tov said. These cubs have shown us the future of our people. The cubs listened quietly, proud yet humble. They had proven themselves, but they knew this was only the beginning. There was more to learn, more ways to improve, and more challenges to face. As the sun set, casting long shadows across the jungle, the cubs returned to their hidden cave. They reflected on the day's events, reviewing every move and every trap. They knew that knowledge and teamwork had triumphed, and that their journey of learning was just beginning. Kiro looked at his siblings. Today we have shown that youth, intelligence, and courage can overcome experience, but we will not stop here. We will continue to grow, to learn, and to become stronger. Juna smiled, tail flicking in excitement. We have won today, but the jungle is vast. Many challenges await. We must be ready, Ral nodded, and we will face them together. Strength, intelligence, and unity. This is our path forward. The jungle seemed to hum in approval, as if acknowledging the cubs' triumph. The animals stirred quietly, sensing the cleverness and determination of the young predators. The elders, meanwhile, began planning ways to incorporate strategy, patience, and teamwork into their hunting methods, inspired by the cubs' demonstration. As night fell, Kiro, Juna, and Ral lay together in their cave, watching the twin moons rise. They had learned from humans, trained in secret, and successfully applied their knowledge to outsmart the strongest hunters of the clan. They had earned respect, not just for themselves, but for the potential of every young member of their kind. Kiro whispered softly, "This is only the beginning. One day our clan will be stronger than ever. Strength and intelligence together can overcome any challenge." Juna nodded, her eyes reflecting the moonlight. "We will continue to learn, and the future will remember today." The day the cubs showed that cleverness can match power, Ral added quietly, "And the elders will never forget. Today the young have changed the way the jungle will fight, think, and survive." The cubs closed their eyes, exhausted but satisfied. Their journey had proven that even the smallest, guided by knowledge, unity, and courage, could achieve greatness. And with the lessons of humans in their minds, they knew that the future held endless possibilities for them and their clan. The jungle slept peacefully, unaware that it had witnessed the beginning of a new era, a time when intelligence and teamwork stood alongside strength, and when even the youngest could shape the destiny of their world. Kiro, Juna, and Ral rested, ready for tomorrow. They had won today, but their journey of learning and growth would continue. The cubs had learned from humans, adapted their lessons, and changed their clan forever. And so the story ended with the cubs victorious, not just in battle, but in proving that curiosity, intelligence, and courage could overcome even the most experienced and powerful.